You're about to hear something that still makes my hands tremble when I tell it. If you're watching this late, keep a light on. If you're listening with headphones good, you'll feel what I felt. I'm not trying to scare you for clicks. This is what happened to me. I'm a food delivery guy. Nothing glamorous. Just me, a battered bike, a stack of thermal bags, and a phone that never really stops buzzing. I take the late night shifts because people tip more after midnight. The money's better, and the city is quieter, or so I thought. Late night runs have their own rules. Drunks who get clingy, guys whose pupils are white with something they shouldn't have taken. A guy once answered the door naked at 2:30 inches the morning, just standing there like that was normal. You learn to laugh it off. You learn to keep moving. Then there was last week. That night changed something in me. Maybe it'll change you too. It started like any other order. Night crave. Tagline: for every craving, no matter how late. I remember thinking the line was clever. I didn't think about it again until later, when the line felt like a warning. 1 pepperoni pizza, 1 Coke, a tip that made my screen glow. Too good to pass up. The address was on the edge of town. GPS cut through streets that frowned at headlights, where street lamps flickered like they were out of cigarettes. The air felt thin, colder than it should have been. My phone buzzed. Another tip. Enough greed to cover that little voice in my head telling me to turn around. So I climbed the curb and rode on. The house was wrong before I even parked. 2 stories, porch sagging, the kind of house that looks tired of people. No lights inside, no curtains stirring, just a frame of dark. I stepped off my bike and the porch boards moaned like an old man shifting in bed. I rang the bell. Nothing. I knocked. Nothing. 10 minutes passed with me standing there like an idiot holding a pizza box that was starting to sweat. That's when the first message came through. Leave the food by the door. We've all had antisocial customers. I put the bag down and started to walk away. That's when I noticed the walls. Not just dark charred, blackened wood. Smoke stains like someone had tried to erase the place with fire and failed. My stomach did a thing I couldn't name. Another message. Wait, I want my food in my hands. Hand it to me. The front door cracked open by an inch. I told myself all the usual things. Maybe someone was sick. Maybe they were playing with a camera. Maybe tonight was one of those nights where nothing happens, and you go back to your flat and complain about it to your girlfriend. But there was a smell. Rotten smoke, oil, something that smelled like a past that hadn't moved on. I stepped closer. A hand slid out from the doorway, thin, pale, fingers bent like twigs. It looked like a puppet's hand after a fire. It reached for the pizza bag. When it touched my wrist, the world shrank. The hand was ice, not cold like winter ice that burned. It dug into my skin, fingers tightening like metal straps. My scream ripped from my throat. I yanked back so fast I stumbled off the porch and nearly swallowed the gravel. The door slammed behind me. My Coke can rolled into the shadow and disappeared like it had never existed. I didn't look. I pedaled until my legs burned, and my breath felt loud enough to knock down a wall. In my rear view, something moved at the edge of the yard. It stopped, then it waved. A small, casual wave. Like the thing had already decided I was the entertainment for the night. I didn't sleep right for days. The mark on my wrist wouldn't let me. It wasn't a bruise. It wasn't cuts. It looked like a hand had been pressed to my skin and sealed there an imprint that smelled faintly of smoke. I covered it with a bandage and told myself it was nothing. My girlfriend tried to calm me. She's practical in the way that makes you feel less like a lunatic and more like someone who misread a shadow. I told her everything. She didn't laugh. That scared me more than anything. The next morning, she sent me a message. A friend had shared an old news article. The headline was ugly and short, like it wanted to be efficient with sorrow. Young woman, in her early 22nd, dies in suspected self-immolation following sexual assault. Alleged attacker, unidentified. There was a photo, the same house, smoke-stained, black windows, a porch that had leaned for years. The girl in the article was a medical student. They said quiet, ambitious, alone. The article said a delivery rider had come to the house and assaulted her. She survived the assault, but later, in despair, she set herself on fire. 6 years ago. They said the case never closed. And then one of the other riders shared something on the group chat, a screenshot of the app. The house was still an active customer. Orders still came from that address. Nightgrave didn't mark it inactive. It just sat there, taking money and sending a driver into the dark. I stopped the late shift. For 2 weeks I slept with the lights on. The television a stupid, bright presence I hoped would block whatever had reached for me. But curiosity hooks into you differently than fear does. Curiosity is quieter and sharper. It says, what if it was nothing? A month passed. I uninstalled the app because every time I saw that icon it felt like a trap. But the app kept coming back. I'd delete it, and morning would bring it to my home screen like it had never been gone. Notifications would appear and vanish. Once, while I was at work during the day, my phone restarted on its own. The app opened to a screen that said, "Your order is on its way." I wasn't on shift. I didn't accept it. Then, one night, I caught the app open by itself. A small notification in red. Active order. From that house. My hands locked. When I opened the trip details, my screen glitched. It flickered like an old movie reel and rebooted. When it came back, the screen said, "Your order has been assigned." I haven't been assigned in days. I hadn't started my shift. The app had decided for me. In the reflection of my phone, just for a second, I saw her. I still see her sometimes when I try to sleep. A woman standing behind me. Skin like paper, left too close to a heater. Hair smoldering at the ends. Eyes that weren't eyes, so much as hollows that watched me like they were waiting for applause. I shut the phone off and ran back to my girlfriend's place. For weeks, nothing happened. I thought maybe I had just been rattled. Maybe that night had been a trick of adrenaline and a house with problems. Maybe the phone stuff was a glitch. Then tonight, my screen lit up. A notification that felt like a knuckle at the throat. One delivery rider. Delivery instructions. Come inside. Another buzz. Arriving at your doorstep at any moment now. I hadn't accepted anything. I hadn't left my bed. My bike was in the hallway, leaning like a tired animal. My phone lay on the table like a sleeping thing. The words on the screen changed. They became a different kind of sentence. Direct, personal. You are assigned. I held the phone and felt my pulse in my teeth. My hands were sweating despite the cold. I thought of the mark on my wrist and the way the hand had felt, and my mouth tasted like pennies. Then a sound that didn't belong to the app or the house or the city. A soft knock. 3 slow taps at the front door. My throat closed. The knock was human. The knock was patient. People always ask later, why didn't you call someone? Why didn't you run? Why didn't you hide? This is what I tell them. The thing that sits at the bottom of your chest, the moment you realize something has found you, isn't courage. It's a small, stupid hope that this is someone else's problem. Maybe a prank. Maybe the courier company. Maybe my mind finally gave up. The knock came again. This time the wood sang with it. Another 3 taps. I could have gone for my phone. I could have screamed. I could have done the sensible thing. But the sensible thing had already failed me before. The sensible thing had left a mark on my wrist. I listened to the porch creak, like the bones of a building adjusting. I listened to the city breathe outside my window. I listened to myself decide. One more knock. I moved toward the door as if pulled by a string. My feet were heavy. My arms felt filled with lead. Every instinct told me not to look. Every curiosity told me to. I peered through the peephole. The hallway outside was empty. The building's dim lights reflected in the peephole glass. No silhouette. Nothing. My heartbeat hammered in my ears like a drum. Then I turned the lock and opened the door. Nothing. Just the hallway. An empty corridor smelling faintly of cleaning chemical and someone else's life. The stairwell below was dark. No footsteps, no rustle of clothing. On the bottom step, someone had left a paper bag. Inside, a single soda can roll gently, the kind with condensation that glimmered in unsafe light, and a small scrap of paper. My hands shook so hard, the paper blurred. On it, a single line in a handwriting that looked like it had been burned into the page. Thank you. The bag smelled faintly of smoke. I slammed the door and pressed my back against it until my shoulders burned. I slid to the floor and stared at my phone, at the app icon that pulsed like a heartbeat. A new notification arrived. Delivery complete. I don't know what finish looks like for things like this. Is there a box to check? A bell to ring? Do they get bored and move on? I don't know. I do know this. Sometimes things that were hurt keep making rooms for themselves. Sometimes they do it by inviting us in. Sometimes they do it by pretending to be the ones delivering. If you're a late-night driver, if you're out on those streets when the street lamps flicker, listen to the small voice that tells you to turn around. If a house looks like it remembers fire, don't walk up its steps. If your app insists on reappearing after you delete it, don't ignore it. I keep the lights on now. I sleep with my phone under my pillow, and I still wake to see the glow of the screen as if it's a lighthouse that never ever lets me be calm. There's a knock at the door again. 3 slow taps. I'm telling you this because people need to know it could happen to anyone. Because when something that terrible refuses to die, it learns how to use the things we trust, our routes, our apps, our schedules, like keys. If you want to believe there's an explanation, believe it. Glitches happen. People are cruel. Buildings fall apart. But when the hand you felt is ice and the app assigns you to a past that never really left, believe me when I say this, the past keeps moving. The knock comes again. This time, it sounds closer, different, like fingers that have practiced patience for years. I'm not going to open the door. You don't have to either. But if you're listening at night and your phone buzzes with a delivery you didn't accept, check the address. If it's on the edge of town, where the streetlights cough and the houses remember smoke don't go, and if you hear footsteps behind you when you're sure you're alone, don't turn around. There's someone on my porch now. The knocking has stopped. The silence has weight. My phone vibrates. One last time. Order complete. I can hear the porch board settle. And then 3 soft, final taps. I can't tell you what happened next. I can only tell you this. When the thing at your door tastes like heat and remembers the shape of a human hand, it will find a way to ask for what it wants. If you like this, maybe subscribe. If you didn't, lock your doors and sleep with one eye open. Someone's at my door. They're patient. They're polite. They always are. I don't think my last customer was entirely human. It was the last delivery of the night. I wasn't planning on taking more, but the order popped up and the tip was ridiculous. One more run, I told myself. One more and I'd be okay for the month. I was wrong. The address said Grand Plaza Hotel, room 1104. I don't like delivering to hotels. Parking is a mess, and a lot of them lock the elevators behind keycards. But the tip made me park and go in. The hotel looked like something out of a faded photograph. High dark brick, heavy stone arches, no lights in the windows. Not a single room showed any life. The lot was empty. The only glow came from the lobby, and even that looked like it was hiding its face, dim amber light leaking from a single ornate chandelier. I couldn't see a soul inside. The front doors opened as if expecting me. The lobby smelled faintly of old smoke and something sweeter underneath shoe polish, incense, and something else I couldn't place. The check-in counter was carved wood and brass, thick with dust that didn't look like it had been disturbed in years. Chairs flanked a dead fireplace, chairs with impossible angles, shaped like they were designed for something that didn't sit like a person. The ceilings were so high my head felt small under them. The air felt boxed in, like being inside a wooden chest. I messaged the customer through the app. Do you want to meet in the lobby? Reply, no. I shrugged and headed for the elevator. The brass plate beneath the button read down. I glanced at the floor indicator and thought nothing of it. There was a whir somewhere below me, and the door side opened to reveal an interior that belonged in a museum. Bronze panels, a hand crank where buttons should be. No modern nonsense, no lights, no call button, just silence. I left it and took the stairs. They began as wide marble steps in the lobby and then became old wood that complained with every step. The flight changed, some steps high, some shallow, some narrower than they should be. Light grew spare as I climbed. My thighs burned. My chin bled when I tripped over a jagged edge and cut myself on the way up. By the time I hit the 11th floor, I was breathless, leaning against a wall and staring at carpet so dark it drank the blood from my shirt without leaving a mark. The hallway lights flickered as if on a failing breath. For a building that grand, there should have been room numbers, so I sent another message. How am I supposed to find 1104? Reply, I'll find you. The light above me died. It didn't dim, it vanished. The dark slid into the hallway like something physical. It had a weight to it. For a second, panic came so hard my lungs forgot how to work. The dark was not a lack of light. It was a thing that pressed in, filling my nostrils, my mouth, the space between my teeth. I could taste it, metal and cold, dust, and the memory of things that had no names. I kept walking because to stop was worse. The hallway stretched and stretched. I reached for the wall and my fingers found nothing. The air closed around me and I laughed. I know how ridiculous that sounds, laughing in pitch black, but it was the only sound that wasn't a sob. I felt long hair against my arm, the brush of skin. Someone touched me. Sorry, I whispered, like it was an apology to the building. When the light returned, I was alone. My phone buzzed. Found you. A sound came then far away at first. A dragging, the slow sliding of something with no knees across threadbare carpet. I could almost feel its breath in the hallway. A dryness, like someone sucking on a bone. I saw it in the space between lights for half a second. A shape, wrong and small, and too hungry. It moved like it had been made to slide. Black pinpoint eyes, slick skin that soaked the fragile lamplight. It was closer when the lights died again. I ran. I don't want to say I ran like a normal person. I bolted and stumbled and flailed. My lungs clawed for air that tasted like the inside of a tomb. Something grabbed my ankle, long fingers like twine, and pulled. I remember the sting of the pull, the way the carpet scraped my palms. I swung the takeout container behind me like a bat. Styrofoam struck something and made a sound like teeth on glass. The thing let go. I got to the stairs and went down two at a time. I heard something moving across the floors above me, too fast for something with such thin limbs. It was behind me in the lobby. A wet rustle on marble. I didn't look back until my hands were in my pocket, keys shaking. The hotel was empty when I got to my car. No clerk at the desk, no guests. The lobby light was as if nothing had ever happened, as if it had been waiting for me to leave so it could go on pretending. My phone said it was 8:32. I sat in the driver's seat and tried to breathe like a person again. The tip on the app still read pending. I haven't been back. I tried to keep working at first. At least I told myself I did. Every single order since then has been for the same hotel, room 1104. I'd decline and it would pop back up. Decline again, and the app would nudge it back into my queue, like a fly buzzing at a single light. I finally quit and uninstalled the app. That didn't fix it either. My phone filled with messages. Where are you, Amy? From numbers I didn't know. I blocked one, then another. The messages kept coming in waves. After a few days, they stopped. I slept without the television on for the first time since I was 15. Then, the storm happened. Power went out across the block, and the house grew quiet in a way that makes the air feel crowded. I woke up to a vibration, and the screen showed a new text. Found you. I don't know how they got my number. I don't know what the Grand Palazzo Hotel is, or was, or will be. I looked for it the next day on maps, on city records, property lists, nothing. No permits, no name, no address. The street it was on doesn't exist, or if it does, it doesn't show the hotel. People I asked shrugged, like I was telling a joke. Sometimes, late at night, in the dark between sleep and something else, I think I can hear the dragging. Not outside my window, no. That would be normal inside my head, inside the walls, where the house breathes and settles. I wake up with the image of black eyes in the corner of my room, the memory of long fingers brushing against my ankle when I was nowhere but a flight of stairs away from a lobby that might not exist. I still flinch whenever a light flickers. I sleep with 2 lamps on and the bathroom light too. I panic when the power blinks because the dark isn't just dark anymore. It feels like a door opening. I always check the closet before I get in bed. I leave the bedroom door open because it makes the house feel less like a coffin. People tell me to delete the phone, change numbers, throw the phone away. I did. I got a burner. The Grand Palazzo showed up on the app on that burner too. It doesn't matter what phone I use. Room 1104 finds me. When I close my eyes, I can count the steps. 11 flights. Each step is a countdown. Each step a memory. The cut on my chin when I fell. The carpet drinking the blood. The sound of something sliding toward me in the dark. The styrofoam that somehow bought me a second, and a second is all things like that need. Sometimes, I imagine I can go back and do one thing differently. Turn left instead of right. Leave the package on the counter, walk out, and never look up. Maybe I'm trying to make sense of the irrational. But the truth is, if it wanted me, it would have had me the moment I accepted the order. Maybe the tip was part of the invitation. Maybe the app is a door. Maybe the hotel was never a place meant to be mapped. I don't tell many people. They call me dramatic or say late-night exhaustion makes your mind do strange things. I don't care about their explanations. I know what I felt in that hallway. I know the way the dark pressed into my throat and the way it smelled like old things and hollow teeth. I know the way something laughed without making a sound when I hit it with the styrofoam. People ask if I'm okay. I don't answer most of the time. There are things you can only say one way, and mine comes out raw and half-formed. I don't go into dark rooms. They nod and smile like you'd smile at someone who scared themselves with a movie. They don't hear what I mean. They can't. The text started again 2 nights ago, a number I didn't block an old friend. I thought sent, "Where are you, Amy?" My stomach folded. My hands hovered over the phone until the screen went dark. We keep telling ourselves, the dark is just the absence of light. It isn't. It's full. It holds things. It remembers the shape of people and how we sound when we run. It remembers where we trip. It keeps a ledger. If you ever get an order to a place that doesn't exist, do yourself a favor. Don't go inside. Don't press your shoes against marble that smells like a closed book. Don't answer messages that say they'll meet you in the lobby. Don't go up the stairs because they're old. Don't think you can bargain with weight in the air. If you do go, and a light goes out, and everything swallows the sound of your breath, if something touches your wrist with a skin like dry rope, don't scream. Screams hold you there. Don't flail as if you can beat the dark with sound. Run. But even run with the truth in your pocket. Sometimes run isn't fast enough. Sometimes a second is purchased with a tiny thing like a plastic container. Sometimes you get back to a car and the world will be the same as it was 10 minutes ago, and your phone will say 8:32 and you will think you escaped. And sometimes, later, when you're safe and you think the order is over, the lights will fail in a storm and a single message will come through. Found you. That was my story, but maybe the next one belongs to you. If you enjoyed this nightmare, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the scariest deliveries are still on their way.